Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes along with Coy Malone. How are you, Coy?
It's been an interesting day, to say the least.
Okay, all right. But you're here. Everything is okay?
It is now. It's okay now.
Okay, all right. Anything you want to share with the class or?
I became one of the people that are recording an angry white person harassing you today.
Say again?
Literally, I became one of the black people that you see recording an angry white person harassing you. That became
So
a
you
part of my
recorded,
story.
you didn't
Yes.
become, you are a black person who recorded an angry white person. And why was the white person angry at you?
Well, according to the video I have, he says that he was the angry person following me because I cut him off in traffic.
Oh, and you
Didn't what?
did not cut him off in traffic?
No, I merged onto the exit lane, and I mean, granted there was traffic, but I merged, and he took it personal, and I could tell because as soon as I did that, he zoomed out of the lane and then zoomed
Tried
back
to
in front
get
of
in
me
front
and
of
then
you.
like
Yeah.
slow like hit his brakes, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not safe, this is dangerous, like I'm literally just trying to get home. So when I'm pulling up to the light, here he is, and then he pulls behind me, and then I go a different direction than I normally go, and I notice he's going everywhere that I'm going. It's gridlock traffic, so I can't turn, get away. I can't make a left or right because I keep getting caught behind red lights, and then he's yelling at me. I'm yelling back like, why are you following me? And there's other cars just kind of sitting there looking, so I start laying on my horn. I was calling 911. The phone wasn't dialing for some reason, it was just silence. So I honked my horn and told the guy next to me to call the police because this man keeps following me. I make a left, he makes a left, I get in another lane, he gets in another lane, then he pulls up next to me. And that's when I started recording because my phone was not calling 911. And he says, I'm the angry man that's following you because you cut me off in traffic. And I'm like, don't you have a family to go home to?
It doesn't matter apparently. But if I just may offer a word of caution in a situation like that, drive to the police station.
Right, but I couldn't because I was stuck at the red
No, but I
lights.
mean,
Yeah.
even so,
Hmm.
because if you're going to drive through a red light, police will find you.
Right.
But
Definitely.
but find find your way to the nearest police station. I bet you he'll back off then.
Yeah, I'm
He may,
sure.
or if not, at least you've got police around you and you don't have any craziness. But the other part is, I always assume someone has a gun these days.
Right. They should definitely assume that I do.
Okay, well, that's true too. But as far as someone being angry with you,
Right.
forget about you having a gun. I'm thinking
Right.
about them having a gun
Yeah,
and
and
doing
that's what I
harm
was
to
thinking.
you.
Yeah, because it looked like he was like, I'm trying to reach for my phone off of the holder so I
Mhm.
can call the police. And he looked like he was doing this, but then you could kind of see him like go below the
You
dashboard.
had
So
enough time
that
to see all this?
because I'm looking in my rear view mirror at him because I can't go anywhere else. There's cars on the left, cars on the right. I'm at a red light. I can't, and he's behind me. So I
Okay.
can't go anywhere else. And I'm looking in my rear view mirror to see what is he gonna do? Is he gonna get out of his car? Is he, and I see him going below the dashboard and it looks like he was reaching for something. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I need to get prepared as well.
Wow. This is where we are. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
And
Uh,
Black History Month at that.
it doesn't matter. They don't look at the calendar. So
They
what?
definitely don't.
So how did it end up?
So it ended up with me filing a report with the police. And so they are aware of the person, his description, his vehicle, and his license plate number. So that's all I have right now. Hopefully, I don't, see him again
Well,
anywhere.
yeah, let's hope. Let us hope that. So, well, as I said, I'm glad that you're okay,
Me
and
too.
that is a dangerous. And I have one of the worst tempers in traffic, but I've learned the hard way to overcome that because, as I said, unlike you, I don't have a gun, and I just assume that other people do, and
Right.
and even if I did have a gun, a shootout is not going to solve anything either.
No, that's very something that I would like to avoid, and I'm glad I think the way that I do because of the way that gun laws are. You have to definitely be defending yourself, and when it comes down to doing that, especially like in road rage situations, unless the person is really coming towards you or they've pulled out a gun or something like that, you really can't use a firearm in those situations. So you really have to be aware when you're a gun owner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not, you just have to be. I mean, the shootout at the OK Corral is real, and unfortunately, God forbid, I would have hated for you to have been a statistic today. So
Right.
anything you can do to avoid that. Let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter in which we choose stories that we think uh, African American readers need to know about or should know about. And Coy Malone is our social justice contributor, and she has a story about the superstore Target removing a Black history educational item from its shelves after a teacher called out mistakes that were in the product in identifying uh, mainstream leaders of our history, of African American history. She was a high school teacher and was celebrating Black History Month. And so, Coy, give us the rest on this story.
Yes, so the teacher's name is Issa Teet. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And she bought a civil rights magnet learning kit to share with her students in honor of Black History Month. And after opening the magnet kit, she discovered that there were people that were totally mislabeled, wrong name, like, wow. So she discovered that American sociologist and historian W.E.B. Du Bois, and yes, that's how he pronounces it, W.E.B. Du Bois, author and educator Booker T. Washington, and historian and journalist Carter G. Woodson were labeled incorrectly. Basically, Du Bois was labeled as Woodson, Woodson was labeled as Washington, and Washington was labeled as Du Bois.
And so she did what?
So what she did was record this and upload this to TikTok, and the video has gone viral. Since then, Target has pulled the item from their shelves, and this video has been viewed over 850,000 times. The publisher of this magnet learning kit, Bendon Publishing, has not yet released a statement. However, Target said that the company would no longer sell it, and they notified Benton Publishing of the errors. So there was a TikTok user who claimed to be a Target worker, Target
Mm-hmm.
employee, and said that they were instructed to pull all of those from the shelves on that day. So this is a couple of days ago. So it's very disrespectful because every product company has a quality assurance department that inspects whatever their product is going to be before it is approved for mass production. And you have quality assurance that checks every few of these products to make sure that it aligns with whatever the company is selling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just in the age of, even if you don't know who these people are, there's Google and there's pictures. And I mean,
Well, they may have, and Black people may have been a part of the mistake.
what Black people was a part of this mistake? I would like to know.
I don't know, but I'm saying they may have had Black people working for the company that may have misidentified them.
I think I think if there were Black people that worked for the company that were in charge of quality assurance, this wouldn't have happened. I'm 100% certain. There are probably Black
I
people that worked on the assembly line, and they probably said, "Hey, I don't think this is right." Well, we'll let somebody know, but continue making this anyway.
Okay, I would say I would beg to differ with you. I know it would be great if they had people who were of the whose job it was to make all the corrections that are necessary. But I dare say that there are Black people that could not identify W.E.B. Du Bois, Carter G. Woodson, or George Washington Carver.
I think I would probably have more trouble identifying Carter G. Woodson, but W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington
Booker
for
T.
sure. I
Washington.
can pick them out.
I think you are the exception, and maybe you ought to go apply at Bend in Publishing, because I think 9 times out of 10, and especially people, if they are not, I mean, we all know this is Black History Month. Black people know this. And
Right.
we assume that we can make all of the correct identifications. But I dare say there are a lot of people who would fail to do that.
There would be. I would just think the persons that are
You would
in a
hope.
company,
You would
yes,
hope. You would
yes.
hope. Yeah, of course.
Because how would it look like if we produce something
They don't
and
care.
name somebody else Susan B. Anthony?
Well, because most people could identify Susan B. Anthony more than they could Carter G. Woodson.
And this is why things like critical race theory need to be erased. It needs to be done away with, because what is the point of erasing a part of American history?
Well, I don't know about race and critical race theory because that is a legal area of expertise. But I do think that what they're doing in the state of Florida and perhaps other states in erasing Black history
Mhm.
from the advanced placement, as well as taking a lot of these books that people object to out of our libraries, I think that is going to lead to a greater downfall in communication and racial understanding.
Yep. Because we're missing a gap of people that don't know who Carter G. Woodson is.
Well,
Black
for
and white,
sure,
but still,
for
yeah, we
sure.
need this. This is, I feel like we should move our Black History Month to October, like UK, so we have 31 days instead of
I,
28 or
you know
29
what?
this
Even
year.
with the 28 or 29 days, we don't do as much as we should with
Right,
Black history.
right.
You know, that used to be the old joke. Oh, they don't care anything about us. They only give us 28 days. Well, what are you doing with those 28 days?
Asking for 31.
Okay. All
Why
right.
aren't they showing Roots on CBS?
Because they're showing it on TCM, and they're streaming it everywhere else. And
Right,
if you can watch all of this other crap that we watch on television, if you can watch The Housewives every day, if you can watch crime TV every day, if you can watch, music videos every day, then you can do some of your own and share your Black history with your children
right. And I think there
on
should be a
streaming
push for more
services.
content outside of,
Well, then go
you
ahead and
know,
push.
oh, definitely. Oh, I do this all the time.
So what are you
This ain't
doing?
just today. This ain't just today.
So that's what I'm asking. So what are you doing?
hmm I currently am going to do some more research and share with knowledge with everyone. A couple of groups that promote unity within our community and give us all tools to assist us in elevating and educating ourselves as African American people. One of the stories that I'm bringing next week is featuring the Moorish Science Temple, who bases a lot of their understanding on truth, justice, freedom, peace, love, and they're really big on economics.
So you're going to do this next week. What are you doing before
Mhm.
then?
Before then, a lot of research,
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
trying
then
to find content, pushing it out on my social media
we
pages.
look forward to seeing
hmm
that. And how can people find you?
Coy_Malone on Instagram.
TikTok too?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Very
you're
good.
ready.
Um, amongst the other stories that we have worked on in today's What You Need to Know newsletter, it's Ministry Monday, and the great Willie Mae McIver shares her religious background and expertise regarding um, what we think are important and what she preaches to us pretty much every day. And so we ask you to take a look at her section of the newsletter, and also to take a look at some of the other stories that I was working on. Was the South Carolina primary that took place. A lot of concern over whether the Black folks would show up, not just Black folks, because older Black folks are going to show up for the South Carolina primary, which took place on a Saturday as opposed to Tuesday, where it happens in most other places in the country. But there was concern about young Black men in particular. Well, Black people did show up. It was not as strong as they would perhaps have liked, but President Biden did win 96% of the votes cast, and it was in a three-person field with the Dean Phillips is the congressman for Minneapolis, and Marianne Williamson is an author and a yoga instructor in all of the kind of feel good areas of life. She is also running on more of a peace ticket on the Democratic nomination. Together, collectively, they did not get 4% of the vote, but it was all President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris's running away. There was an effort by the president to give Black voters a more prominent role in the primary process, and that included moving and changing some things around in the Democratic primary calendar, ignoring, well, I don't know if I should say ignore, but not going to Iowa, not going to New Hampshire, which are all primarily white states, and kicking it off where he received his biggest bump, and that made the focus and the force of his candidacy in 2020 gave it a whole different look because Black people came out and they voted for Joe Biden, and so they had a greater say in the nominating process, and by getting 96% of the vote he also got all 55 of the delegates that that state has as he prepares for the Democratic nomination and the convention in Chicago this summer. So that is good news, as well as we also talked a little bit about something that's in your backyard, Coy, and that is Fonnie Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, and her personal relationship with a man that she appointed as the lead prosecutor, not necessarily before she appointed him, but she has admitted that they have a personal relationship, and there are questions about his abilities to do this job, also about the amount of money that he was paid and how he spent the money on trips for the two of them while he was still a married man. And so a lot of things to take the attention off of the focus of the trial, which is the indictment of Donald Trump and 14 other people for election interference. And so you may not agree with, and I don't. I was telling somebody that I don't know how my daddy ended up hearing my father share this when I was just a little girl, and he died when I was very young. But you don't have your honey where you make your money, and so and I still believe that to this day that that's just and you don't and as Black people you can't give them any excuse, anything to say you're not doing your job correctly. And
Right.
so that is I don't know what the people are saying in Atlanta, Coy, but and what the conversations are, especially among young people, as we talk about this.
The young people are more focused on the YSL trials
Oh,
that
okay.
Fonnie Lewis is also presiding over as the district attorney. So I think like the younger people are not paying attention to politics as much as they should until it comes down to the major decisions more so at the last minute. I'm seeing a lot of people that are still for some reason siding with Trump as a Trump supporter. They feel like there was a lot more money around then because of stimulus checks for whatever reason. And they're also blaming things like the war on the Democratic Party now. A lot of people are starting to take up the conversation and saying that, the fact that certain cities are giving away funding for immigrants are Democrats trying to buy votes for the upcoming election. It's really scattered all over the
They're
place.
buying votes from whom?
From the immigrants, I guess.
Well, that's okay.
I'm like, wow, guys. I mean, I'm combing the comments and what have you. I'm seeing more of the older generation Republicans and white people that are talking about Fannie Lewis and saying how it's
Annie Willis.
wrong, and Fannie Willis, I apologize, Fannie Willis, and how it's wrong that she's having this, relationship and she just needs to be disbarred. And that's what I'm coming across. I haven't really
Yeah.
seen too many young people talking about it.
I'm not sure that she needs to be disbarred, but certainly she's put herself in a precarious position. And over I can't even say what my girlfriend say. So, but I will say that I'm disappointed, and but she has the right to have a personal life, just not at the expense of something that is this important. I really believe. Let's move to the what's really going on segment, and I don't know if anyone, Coy, did you watch the Grammy Awards last night?
I did not. I wasn't aware that it was on,
Hmm.
and I just started, catching up on different Twitter memes and what have you, highlights, news articles. I think that's a little bit easier for me to catch up with for some
And it is
reason.
for a lot of people too to catch up
Yeah.
on things today, not necessarily news articles, but as you say, social media memes and what have you. So there were some highlights and lowlights. We'd like to people who did watch like to hear your thoughts on it. I was out, and when I came home, I did watch them. I recorded and watched it, and so I think for me there were some highlights, and maybe one low light, but I don't know if it's that for me to call it a low light. I was just disappointed, and I'll share that with you. But starting off, and so that's what we're asking people for. Um, Coy, is share your thoughts, your highlights, and your lowlights of the Grammy Awards, and what the 66th, 67th annual Grammy Awards last night in Los Angeles. One of my favorites happened early on in the show, and that was Tracy Chapman's Fast Car duet. They marked this particular television special marked her first public appearance in 3 years, and Tracy Chapman, the woman who gave us Fast Car, uh, sang with Luke Combs in a duet of Fast Car. His cover, which was nominated for Best Country Solo Performance, and just for clarity, this song won. Um, Received three nominations for song in 1988. So we're
Wow.
obviously talking some 30 plus years ago. And she is, she looks great. She sounded great. And it was really quite special to have him, talk about what this song meant to him. He said, this was my favorite song growing up before I even knew what a favorite song was.
Hmm.
And bringing it, and she said that I never expected myself find myself on the country charts, but I'm honored to be there. And so she praised Luke Combs, saying, I'm happy for Luke and his success and grateful that new fans have found and embraced Fast Car. It was really pretty cool. Did you happen to see that? Do you know who
I
Tracy
didn't.
Chapman is?
Yes,
Oh,
she's an
okay.
excellent singer.
Okay. Okay. Well, I
Really
mean,
good.
just curious.
Yeah, I'm a music head, and she is an excellent singer. I remember her when I was little, and she went on to have a music career that wasn't really, I felt like wasn't really promoted as much in the States.
Right.
But
She
if
had great
anybody,
success. Yeah. But I
right,
think a lot of that was on her, Coy, because she is a recluse by nature
yes,
and doesn't do all of that, promoting of herself and what the record companies wanted and insisted that she do. And so I think
right,
that played a part in it too.
yes. One of the highlights is someone that I know by the name of David Outing won his first Grammy.
Hmm.
And this is, I believe, he is a producer, so he won a Grammy. I'm not sure who he actually won the Grammy with, but he's called D'Lo the Great on Instagram. He
Okay.
won his first Grammy, so that was one of the first Grammy highlights that I saw. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And even before the show began, it was reported that before the program began, there were awards given out before the airing, the broadcast, and Killer Mike got taken away, the rapper and activist in the Atlanta area got taken away, and it was the craziest thing. And they said it had something to do with someone declaring citizens arrest, which sounds like something out of the old Andy Griffith show. But he was handcuffed and taken away for something
Right,
that obviously was not of a violent nature, but it just seemed pretty ridiculous that someone was calling and holding Killer Mike, uh, for the police. to
You should
come
see
and
the
arrest
comments
him.
behind that one. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. So
yeah,
I combed those ones and they were like, oh, with a name like Killer Mike, his reputation was sure to follow him. I'm sure he did whatever he did. And people were like fighting at the Grammys is ridiculous. And I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all didn't watch the Grammys. You don't know anything about Killer Mike. Like, this is a family man. He's an activist and he is a community leader. So I'm sure whatever this is something that's a BS charge. And the police do this on purpose to
right.
embarrass you.
And the police and people who may want, may not like the fact that he came away with 3 Grammys last night, and may have. I'm not saying that they did, but speculation is that they made something up in order to get him into some kind of trouble.
Yes, we see this all the time, especially with black men. So he did come out and publicly speak.
Hmm.
I haven't gotten a chance to actually read that article, but he has spoke out about what happened with his arrest.
And so he, according to the news, Fox News is saying that he called it overzealous security. They were saying that Mike Render, is his real name, was arrested for his involvement in an alleged altercation with another individual. He said, "Man, ain't nobody talking about all that mess. I walked out with 3 Grammys. I took beautiful pictures, man. I got the job done, and it was a beautiful time. I swept an entire category yesterday. That's what I got to say about it." And he was charged with misdemeanor battery and released the same evening. Video on social media showed the musician being led out of the arena, crypto.com arena, in handcuffs following the premiere ceremony. And he sent out a text blaming the overzealous security and reportedly knocked a security officer over after they didn't move out of his way fast enough. And so, any other person who was not a man, a big black man by the name of Killer Mike, would not have received this sort of treatment. I dare say.
Right.
I dare say. But
Hope he takes him to court.
well, I don't think that's necessary. I think that well, I think we're a litigious society anyway, so I'm not sure that I would disagree with you about taking him to court, but certainly making it known that he uh, cannot just treat people this way if he's not doing his job.
Hmm.
So, and that is the security guy.
Some security are very overzealous like that. I've come
Yeah,
across a
for
few
sure.
in
Yeah,
clubs that were like that with
yeah,
women.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
And, our thoughts are with Mike because he said he woke up to a phone call that his son, who has been waiting for a kidney for the last 2.5 years, is on his way to the hospital right now to get a new kidney. So we're sending good wishes to his son and to the family as they go through this procedure. And you'd hate to have this moment clouded by some ridiculousness at the Grammy Awards, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see. Back to Tracy Chapman. She spoke about the cover as she sang at the CMA Awards, marking the first time a black artist ever took home the Song of the Year at the Country Music Awards. That was pretty powerful. So good for her. Another big moment for me was Jay Z was awarded the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award at the Grammys, and came up on stage with his daughter Blue Ivy, who was 11 or 12, his wife Beyonce in the audience, and it was a sweet award. It was, how the Grammys are gold mic mega it, the gramophones, right? And so this one was black on black. It was really sweet. It was like, go ahead, Black fan, get your black award. He used his acceptance call to say to the recording academy, talking about the snubs against his wife. He said, "We love y'all. We want y'all to get it right. I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than anyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work." Beyonce became the most decorated artist in Grammys history last year when she won her 32nd Grammy Award. However, the show drew criticism when she didn't take home Album of the Year again, and that went to, of all people, Harry Styles. Right. He said, think about that. Most Grammys never won an album of the year. He said, some of you may get robbed, some of you don't belong in that category. When I get nervous, I tell the truth. And so he did and spoke up for his wife and saying, it's however many Grammys she has now, over 30, 32. Uh, how ridiculous is it that of all of her Grammys, not one of them is for album of the year?
All right.
And she's done some classic work. So, and people who are not, you know, necessarily the biggest Beyonce fans may agree with that, or may say, he's right. She may not be my favorite, but and I'm not saying this for me, but I'm saying people she may not be my favorite, but certainly she deserves of all of the awards she's gotten, she deserves to get a Grammy for album of the year, song of the year, whatever it is for her hard work and for
And
putting
see,
out good music.
and this is one of the reasons why I kind of stopped watching the Grammys some years ago,
That's what a
just
lot of
because
people
it's
say.
just not fair for
Yeah.
a lot of artists that are excellent. Their talent is amazing. They don't have a nominee. They're not awarded a Grammy, and it just you just start to wonder. I know that there is a certain entity of people that decide on the Grammys who's going to get one, and
Mhm.
what have you. They vote on that. However, what are they basing their votes off of? Because you have people like, I feel like at this point in time, Summer Walker, believe it or not the songs that are popular. Some
Mhm.
of her other songs are amazing. I did a deep dive on her music. She should do a Tiny Desk concert. She
Mhm.
has music that is that amazing, instrumentation on a lot of tracks. And yet, where are her nominations? Where are her awards? And you have somebody like Beyonce, whose concerts sell out all over the world. People show up dressed like her and all these
Yeah.
other things, has a movie out, all these Grammys, and not a single album of the year award.
And you know where all the attention went last night? To
Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Swift. Yeah. Oh, they were just
Taylor
eating her
Swift.
up. Yeah. Yeah.
And oh yeah, and she got ate up on Twitter as well
Yeah.
for rejecting
Yeah. I
Celine
was I was
Dion.
gonna I was gonna talk about that. Yeah, that was awkward. That was an awkward moment, but she tried to redeem herself backstage. Yolanda, do we have any comments?
Meat moot.
Have any people? The in memoriam salutes included Stevie Wonder's tribute to Tony Bennett, and Fantasia also had a powerful "Proud Mary" tribute to Tina Turner. That was introduced by Oprah, her former boss from The Color Purple. So that was pretty awesome. She did that, and even with the intonations of Tina and Oprah talking about Tina and Fantasia's intonations of Tina, it was really pretty sweet. And mentioning about Celine Dion, she had the audience on their feet when she made a surprise appearance to present the Album of the Year award, which went to Taylor Swift. Taylor became the first person to win that category 4 times, 4 times as many as Beyonce. When I say that I'm really happy to be here, I really mean it, Dion said. She was diagnosed with a disease called stiff person syndrome back in 2022. But as you mentioned, Taylor took a lot of grief on social media for seemingly grabbing the award from Celine, but not acknowledging the seriously ill singer. The two women were photographed in an embrace backstage, and in the shot, Swift wrapped her arm across Dion to place her hand on her shoulder, and the two leaned their heads together against one another's heads, and they were all smiles for the photos. Now, some people say, Coy, that because of stiff person syndrome, it they are very fragile, and sometimes people are told, "Don't grab her, don't touch her," because she can become extremely uncomfortable and writhe in pain and scream out in pain from just merely the touch.
Mm,
Aubrey
I
W
still
said,
would have figured it out.
"Well, I mean,
Something,
well,
some type of
she
acknowledgement,
because she was
something.
she was she was really quite swept up in this, and it did appear that she was, for all intents and purposes, ignoring Celine Dion. And I know you can't get caught up, but you have to make some sort of accommodation to someone who is Celine Dion. Just as who was it that? I think it was who was it that made such a big deal out of Mariah Carey? I forget, but she came up and she was like, "Oh my God, it's freaking Mariah Carey!" And she was
Yeah.
really excited. Um, and Taylor may just be too cool for the room. I don't know. I don't think so,
I
but
mean, Celine Dion paved the way for
that's what everybody said.
Taylor Swift. And I mean, I'm not giving her a pass. We have the same birthday. We're both Sagittariuses. She knew better. That's my
Um,
point.
um, you're different kind of Sagittarius,
Yeah.
if you don't
Yeah.
mind my saying so.
We are.
Uh, for Dion's Celine Dion, they said that her stepping out to present the Grammys marked her first public appearance in months amid her ongoing health
Mhm.
struggles. And this is, you just hate to see a woman of that talent, of that stature, and having all of this taken away from her because of this disease, not able to go out, not able to work, not able to do what she does best, which is sing like an angel, and as a result of this stiff person syndrome, and it affects her personal life with her boys, and having
Yeah.
lost her husband and other family members. It's just a tough thing. Yolanda, I'm sorry, Aubrey had a comment. That girl, Fantasia, did a good tribute to Tina Turner. She really did. That girl's on YouTube. Yes, she did. I thought she looked great. She had on like a Tina like outfit, and she didn't kick her shoes off because Tina knew how to wear the boots and the heels, and so she stayed in true Tina form in that way as well. Um,
Fantasia is just a great performer.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And so we are glad to see that. All right, let's move to trending topics. Poor People's Campaign is vowing to wake a sleeping giant. The Poor People's Campaign, under the direction of the absolutely wonderful director, the Reverend Dr. William Barber II in North Carolina, had a press conference today, and they launched a 42-week nationwide mobilization of poor and low income Americans to wake the sleeping giant of a voting bloc with the potential to determine the outcome of the 2024 elections. They're making their needs, their wants, and their voices heard. And Reverend Barber said it's time for a resurrection, not an insurrection, in reference to what happened in 2021. He said we must engage poor and low wealth people to change the political landscape. And it's really
Yes.
interesting, Coy. This seems like something that would be right up your alley for social justice and keeping an eye on them. One Democratic pollster, her name is Celinda Lake. She said the biggest block of potential voters by far is low income, low wage voters. She said where the margin of victory is projected to be less than 3% in 2024, 30 to 45% of the voters are low wage voters
Yes, they
or
are.
low income families. And the turnout among low wage voters and low income voters today is 20 to 22% below
Hmm.
the average turnout. So they are waking a sleeping and very powerful giant. They may not even know they have the power, but getting the word out to through the Poor People's Campaign to let poor and hardworking poor people know that you have the voice and you need to use it.
We call that the opportunity divide. So you
Yeah.
have the people that have versus the people that don't have, in this big space in between that the people that don't have to traverse in order to have a life better than what they have now. These are the same people that when they vote, they have to either take off of work or
Hmm.
their working hours span past voting poll hours. So it's a great thing that polls are able to stay open at
Or
times and
early
have
voting.
or early voting, right? But sometimes some of these people work 6 and 7 days a week,
Yeah.
2 jobs, 2 and 3 jobs. I know people that have 3 jobs that are, just trying to live a stable life. They don't even have anything much, and their life is based so much around work and childcare and all these other things that voting is the
And
last
putting
thing on their
food on
mind.
their tables. Yeah.
Yes, and then you have issues that we've reported at polls in the past about these people only live on public transportation, but the last bus stop and between that and the distance to the pole is over a mile or so that they have to walk another 20, 25 minutes just to get there. Like, there's a lot of different things that I feel like have been put in place on purpose so that these people don't vote, because they are a huge number in our society
And one of the
and
things
vital.
that I used to do, I had a car that was big enough, and I do now. But I had the time because when I got off the air the rest of the day, and was to take senior citizens to the polls because they didn't have access to transportation, or, as you say, about the buses and the bus systems and things like that. And doing that as a kid, watching my mother do it, yeah, yeah, I tried to keep it alive, and met some really delightful and very engaged and energetic older people who were very concerned about the future of this country, and were trying to get out there and just make their voices heard, and understanding, which is what I think a lot of our young people, because we talk about Black History Month and we don't talk
Mhm.
about how we got here in terms of a lot of things like the right to vote and the Voting Rights Act, and how the Supreme Court has worked to diminish the voting rights of so many people, like the Shelby decision, and gutting the 13th Amendment, things like that. We don't talk about the history in order to appreciate the people that actually died, gave their lives for us to be able to do this, and just to kind of disregard it and say, well, if I don't vote this time, catch me next time.
The fact that people had to take a test
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Or
order
or
to,
or or ridiculous test. Guess how many jelly beans in this container? How
and
many how
had
many
to get it
bubbles
right.
on a bar of soap?
This is why some people feel like segregation and civil rights hurt us in a sense, because before we had more of an incentive to push forward for our rights. We had more of an incentive to vote. We had more of an incentive to gather together and be collective on different movements. Now that we're a few generations out, which is not totally our fault why we're at the point where we're at. However, it just seems like some people need an incentive and there might not be one in place. So people are like, yeah, whatever. I don't have to vote on this. I don't have to vote on the superintendent. I don't have to vote on the DA. I don't have to vote on the judge. I don't have to vote on the president. They're going to decide anyway.
If you don't think you need to vote on the district attorney, all you have to do is look at the people's interest in the YSL case, right?
Right.
And how very easily it may not be you, but it may be one of your boys, one of your girls, one of your relatives who is in trouble and needs to have great proper representation, and whether the DA will bring charges against someone just in a ridiculous case. Just think about Killer Mike and how ridiculous that is, and how there could be a DA who has a bone to pick with black folks, and especially people who call themselves Killer Mike, and just because of a professional name, and want to make an example of them. If
Right.
you don't think that that's important, then I don't know what to tell you. I wish I knew what would compel them to change their mind. If you have a school district and your child is not being given every advantage, then you find out who puts the school board together, who is going to be the superintendent of schools, and the DA who put those people in jail in Atlanta for not doing right by the students with the testing, right?
Right.
And so you have all of these things, and the one thing that we always say, it's not necessarily the president, although I got to tell you, he's done some good things for black folks, like eliminate a lot of financial student aid debt, right? He's done things like lower the prescription prices for your grandmother or your mama's diabetes medication, right? So those are things that affect all of us. If you haven't been lucky enough to have your student loan reduced or eliminated, hang on. Hang on. You know somebody who has.
Mine's gone.
Really?
Mine is gone. Yes, it's
So,
gone. I checked.
Coy, that's what I need you to do. I
Mhm.
need you to tell people because they need. Well, I didn't know. I don't know anybody. Well, Coy.
Yep.
And I know people who don't want to talk about it.
I don't know why. What is
I
our
don't know.
thing? This is
I
this is
don't.
another thing in our community that we have to stop and get over. What is this thing in our community where we're saying, "Oh, I don't want to share this information. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. Oh, don't ask them about this. That's rude if you talk about that." How are we going to learn and get past where we are for not sharing information with each other? Come on, y'all.
And
Seriously, it's
and
not
here's
against the law anymore.
it's not against the law. And here's the other thing. The other guy, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything as far as education, as far as appoint a rich white woman who wanted to eliminate the education department.
Hmm.
So
Would you look at
Coy
that?
Malone, you know that she's had her debt eliminated. And I'm in a text chain with girlfriends. One of them said, "Hey, my debt's been eliminated." And the other person said, "Low key, so is mine." No,
Low
not low
key,
key.
high key, right?
To the
What is wrong?
skies.
I don't understand. I really don't. What is, I don't know.
To the skies.
There's nobody that's going to report us to massa for
Right,
saying that
right.
something good happened in our
So raise
lives, you
your hand.
guys.
Raise your hand, Coy. Hi, my name is Coy.
Hello, my name is Coy Malone, and my student loans have been cleared.
There you go.
Thank you, U.S. government.
Now put that on your social media.
Yeah, I should put it in my bio.
Okay, okay,
Student loan
okay,
cleared.
okay. Thanks, President Biden. I think those are things we need to talk about. Okay, some other things we need to talk about. Check on your folks in California. The weather
Yes.
is really
Ooh.
bad. Fire officials have responded to over 130 flooding incidents and 49 mudslides, and they call them debris flows. Extinguished half a dozen structure fires and conducted several water rescues for stranded motorists since the storm began this weekend in California. 3 people have died as the storm pummels California, causing flooding and dozens of mudslides in the Los Angeles area. Heavy rain at lower evacuations and elevations and evacuations as a result of this, while others are bracing for possible whiteout conditions in the mountains that could make dangerous travel to near impossible. That is very dangerous, and it's moving to the east. If you said that's just California, it's coming to other parts of the. Yes, ma'am.
I spoke with a travel insurance agent today
Uh huh.
that specifically works with Airbnbs. And she informed me of all the cancellations because of the snowstorms and stuff like that. So I want to advise everybody, if you are traveling anywhere, especially if you have booked something in California recently, but just in general,
Mm-hmm.
please purchase your travel insurance. You don't know when a natural disaster can hit. And next thing you know, you're SOL
Right.
because
Out
the
hundreds, if
Airbnb
not
is
thousands of
under,
dollars.
yeah, a pile of mud. That happened to me last year, and this is the reason I'm speaking to her because I was planning on going on a trip. I got sick, which that didn't cover. You get covered if you're sick on the trip.
And that's the
However,
other thing. You have to
yes,
check your policies and make sure what is covered.
yes, and then the next day a tornado hit my
Mm.
house, and so lucky, unlucky for me, but lucky for me, I was able to not only report that to my home insurance, but also report that to Airbnb's travel insurance that I purchased. So, y'all, that extra little $30, take it, please.
Yeah. And it's not just in the winter months. Obviously, we have hurricane season, we have tornado
Any
season,
months,
and any months of the year when you're
any
traveling,
months.
yeah, travel insurance is a necessity, and it's growing to be even more so. Absolutely. Let's wrap this up and remind people that to check on your folks in California, and that is really important, especially if you're planning to go. Well, this doesn't affect me because I'm going skiing. Yeah, as Coy said, you could have an avalanche, and the ski resort could be out, of pocket and not able to serve you, but yet they could still charge you if you don't have insurance, travel insurance.
Avalanche, forest fire, lightning can strike and cause a
Yep.
fire, earthquakes, monsoon. You don't know.
Yep. Yep.
Flood. Just get it.
You could just see cars that were just submerged in mud because of mudslides. The mudslides come down, and this living in California, the mudslides come down
Yeah.
and just submerge your vehicle. You can't go anywhere. If you can't go anywhere, people can't get to you, and
Right.
you can't go to your trip. You can't go to work. schools are canceled. All of these things are affected. Everything, and because of the tremendous amount of rain, power is out.
Oh goodness. And see, and people think when they hear mudslide, they think, oh, it's just a bunch of dirt that's just kind of piling up. Think about a flood with rushing water,
Right.
but then it's also solid with mud that's carrying everything that it picks up.
Yeah,
It has
the
knocked
nice
houses down.
yeah, the nice grass that you see when you're looking at real estate and stuff online, all of that is just mush
Hmm.
and mire now for you to have to deal with.
Yeah, I've seen homes fall off of hills, and
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
from
for
out
sure.
there. Like they
Yeah.
they they have fallen off the hills and
Yeah.
gone on with the mud. Like
Yeah. Those houses
crazy.
that you see perched over that have very little support, like under this, as you and now you have this ground that over under part of it just wears away, and the
Hmm.
house is taken away with it.
Mm-mm.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, Super Bowl. Don't forget, who you got, Coy?
Usher.
Okay. Okay. Wishful thinking. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go for I think I gotta stick with Kansas City because my
Oh,
cousin
okay.
played for them in 68, 69 when they
They have
won
a
the Super
football team
Bowl.
then?
They did, I know, right? Oh my gosh.
I thought you would be a 49ers girl.
I can be. I can go for that too. Because my uncle is a 49ers fan, so I'm sure he'll be very happy to see them win.
Yeah.
That's Northern California, so I like to
Right.
call Northern California another state.
Yeah. It's a whole nother, well,
It's a whole
California
nother
is a
world.
is a whole nother world unto itself.
Right.
Well, good luck, and good luck with that Usher thing happening for you. His halftime show is expected to be hotter than hot, and it is expected to kick off around 8 p.m. Eastern time. Just so you'll know, if you're not there to watch the whole game, 8 o'clock Eastern time is when they expect, or sometime thereafter, expect for his halftime show to begin. They got it down to a science. Let's move to entertainment. Comedic actor, and I ask you this again because of your young age. Do you know who Garrett Morris is?
His name sounds familiar. Yes.
Okay, he
Garrett
is
Morris.
the first black person to work for Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
He got a walk on the Hollywood star. He got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and it was his 87th birthday last week.
Oh wow.
The first black cast member on Saturday Night Live said that he had a wait a while moment, saying of the fame and the recognition, whenever it comes, is all right. I'm grateful. And that's what he said last week on his 87th birthday as he accepted his star. He was initially hired on Saturday Night Live, and they could probably still use him, having watched it this weekend, use him as a writer, but said the creator, Lauren Michaels, realized they needed a black actor for some of the sketches that they were writing, that he was writing. And so I guess in his mind, maybe he was saying, if I write these and they know they need a black person, then, I'm here.
Right.
He was then tasked, but they didn't hire him for that. They said, you go out and find us a black actor to be on the cast. So to find a talented and funny black actor to audition. And he said Gilda Radner and Lorraine Newman, two of the white women on the show, told Lauren Michaels, "Hey, you got Garrett bringing in these actors, but he's an actor himself. So he called me in and offered me the job, but I told him I'd only do it on the condition I didn't also have to be a writer, because they will do that. They'll say, okay, you can be an actor, but you got to continue writing the sketches."
Hmm.
And so Lauren Michaels agreed to that, and he'd go on to create memorable characters like the translator for the hard of hearing. The news for today is, and that was the bit. He was also, that was on Weekend Update, and also a pastor collecting money for the White Guilt Relief Fund, which is probably still
Okay.
available today.
So
So
I'm
go
looking him up. I recognize him now. I
right, yeah.
recognize him by face. I know who this
Yeah,
is.
Two Broke Girls. He starred on that, and he's done just a pile of movies and TV shows.
He was on
Uh,
the Jamie Foxx show.
yep, yep, that was another one. Absolutely, yep. So, yeah, and you can find a lot of his stuff on YouTube. Absolutely.
Ooh, he was on Martin too. He was the radio
Oh, station
station
manager.
manager.
Yep,
He
yep,
was funny.
yep. and reminded me of Marv Dyson even then. All right, so let's move to the jewel for the day. Responsibility is the theme this week. Being responsible is not what you say, it's what you do.
Mhm.
Being responsible is not what you say. So not just talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk as well. I think that's what she's saying. All right, Coy, stay out of trouble, please, and come back next week
I don't get
for.
into trouble.
Okay, we just gonna forget all of that happened on
I
your
didn't
way.
do that. That was him. I
No,
was trying to get
no,
home.
I know, but never mind. Have a good week, everybody. See you. Aloha.